Hi everyone, today I want to make a little cocoa packet, and I've made several of these. I probably make them every year because they're such a great little gift to give to someone you just want to kind of give a little thank you to at the holiday time. And I figure my daughter can give one of these to the bus driver maybe, or crossing guard. We have both of those down on the corner of our street here, and it's a simple little thank you. And I thought mostly I want to show you a simple way to put it together, and I also wanted to do some coloring, and I want to show a couple different ways to color your images. So let's get into it. I am using real red cardstock, and I happen to have, I was looking at my stash of real red, and I did not plan ahead accordingly, and I was running out of 8.5 by 11 packs of my real red cardstock. In fact, all I have left is this, scraps, and I thought I had a whole new pack, and I didn't. I was amazed. I just used more than I thought. So luckily for me, I had a lot of 12 by 12 real red that I purchased before when it was sold in solid color packs. So I had a lot of real red, and I was able to use that. So I cut it a little differently this time. So the reason why I say that is because normally I like to cut a sheet of cardstock in half, and that way I can get 2 cocoa packets out of 1 sheet of cardstock. And you can still do that. The premise is the same. But this time, since I had that 12 by 12 paper, I made it a little thicker. And the only part that's thicker, I made the edges a little thicker than I normally do. And that way I could fit 2 cocoa packs in one if I wanted to, or even a little chocolate bar. So it's an option. If you happen to have some 12 by 12 real red or any kind of festive color, then go ahead and use that, because that might be a fun way to add a little more to the cocoa packet than you normally can. So basically all I did was I gave myself 3/4 of an inch in the center. So I scored off 3/4 of an inch in the center, and then 3/4 of an inch off each side. Now when I do this with a 8.5 by 11, and I cut it in half, so then this is only like right now I think this is 5 inches. Yeah, when I've done it with an 8.5 by 11, this is only 4 1/4. So then instead of giving myself 3/4 of an inch, I only give myself a 1/2 of an inch on each side, which then gives me a little bit skinnier spot here too. But you can usually, depends on what brand of hot cocoa you put in there, you can kind of fold the corners in a little bit, and you can still fit it in. In fact, I did that for this fall one with some Swiss Miss pumpkin spice. So this one you can see it's a little tighter than what we're going to make today, but the idea is the same. So you can kind of take what you have. You can do this with tea, hot chocolate, oatmeal pouches, whatever, and measure it and give yourself a little bit of room. And different brands are different. This one is the Starbucks one. There's also Swiss Miss, whatever you buy, and measure it and see what can fit in yours. And then the height is different too. Like these Starbucks ones are really tall, whereas the ones that we used in class were actually Swiss Miss, so look how much shorter. So I might have to fold this top over. So that's something to think about. Anyway, so when I do a treat package, all I do is I kind of measure, make sure I have enough space. I give myself an edge, and then you give yourself a center in the middle. So find your middle and then kind of go off a little bit from there. So I did 3/4 of an inch in the center. So anyway, this was a 12 by 12 piece. I did cut 1.25 inches off. So it's not quite 12 inches because I didn't need that, and I ended up using that red strip for something else. So anyway, so all we're going to do is cut the flaps at this little score where they intersection, because we did 3/4 this way, 3/4 in the center. So we've got this little intersection here, and we're just going to trim that off. You know, so you don't have to do the math and figure out what the center is. I will tell you where I scored it. How about that? I was just realizing that I'm not really giving you the full scoring directions. Okay, so I scored it at 5 and then 5 3/4. So then on each side I have 5 inches, so I have 10 3/4. Okay, so we've got our box, and all we need to do here is put these flaps on the inside. And then you're going to use a strong adhesive. You can use your liquid glue, is pretty strong, but then you have to kind of wait a moment for it to dry. So we use, when I make boxes, I love the tear tape. So you're just going to add adhesive, oops, to the flap on one top or bottom, doesn't matter because they're both the same. Okay, and then we're just going to close our box. So this is such a simple little box, and that's what I like when I do treat holders, because I know that what's going to happen is that the recipient is going to think, oh, how cute, and then they're going to open it and drink the hot chocolate, and then this will most likely get tossed. Isn't that sad? But you know, it's the way it is, and that's okay. It's to give a smile, right? So then you're just going to kind of close it, and there. So now you've got your little package. And if you've got a bone folder or a ruler or some kind of pencil that you can throw inside to just kind of push that down even further, perfect. Okay, so now you need a hole punch of some sort. And then you're just going to, if you can go through both layers at the same time, awesome. You don't want to go too close to the top just because you don't want to accidentally rip. So give yourself, I don't know, half an inch maybe. But you don't want to go too low either. You're going to go through both. And what I like to do is I like to do my ribbon different. It doesn't just sit at the top. It wraps under the cocoa so that when you pull on the ribbon, the whole thing lifts up together. I like it that way. I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. That way they don't have to untie anything and make a mess of anything. So we're going to do that. And then I'm also going to show you the coloring. So before we get past that, I want to show you the belly band in case all you're interested is the box. I do have another one because somebody at Stamp Camp accidentally put tape on both sides of the flap, so this one had adhesive on it. I thought maybe I could take it home and get the adhesive off, and I think I did a pretty good job. So once I decorate this, and I think they also made a mistake on the top here, but that's okay. All right, so I grabbed some designer series paper. This was from a Christmas paper pack online. What is it called? Oh goodness, I can't think what it's called, and I ran out of that paper. Anyway, it's an online exclusive. It's any designer series paper will do, but you just want to make sure it has some of the colors in there. I've got some red in here, and you may kind of think that you want the seam to be in the back, but in reality it doesn't matter because you're going to cover that seam with the image. So I like to put it in the front. So no, I don't bother scoring my belly bands for treat packaging, just because when people put them together, sometimes the score is just not quite right for some reason. I don't know if it's just because it's too puffy. Sometimes people are really tight putting their box together. Some people are more loose putting their box together. And if it's off by a smidge on one side, then it's off even more on the other. So I don't bother. So I have a nice plain piece of designer series paper. I put it on the back, and then I just kind of fold, and I just give my thumb and index finger a little pinch around. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, and just give yourself less stress with that scoring. Most of the time we do like to have nice scored edges, but for this, I think, don't bother. All right, so you see we have a seam. We're going to go ahead and use that tear tape. And close up our box. You can attach it to the box. It doesn't really fall off. It's pretty tight, but you can, if you want, if you feel you want to add some more glue, you could. Or you could throw a glue dot behind there, whatever you want to do. I don't worry about it too much. Another thing you can do actually is you can go like this so it overlaps. And that way it's glued to the box and itself. So it does double duty. And like I mentioned, I don't like to give too much. I don't want to go crazy with treat packaging. Sometimes I do, because you know, sometimes people deserve a really crazy, beautiful treat packaging, even if they are going to toss it. This is the one that someone else put together, and they were a little uneven. Okay, so I gave them another one to start over. Okay, so we've got our box basics, and then we're going to do our coloring. So I thought we would show a few different ways to color, and we have Stampin' Blends, we have watercolor pencils, and we have regular Stampin' markers, and they're all great for different things, and I thought I would share some of the differences. So I'm going to start with the watercolor pencils. These do not come in this box. I just, whenever they are on sale or whenever they've changed the colors a couple times, so they've gotten, they've discounted previous sets, I always buy them. So I have multiples of every color, so I put it in this box just so that I could have them, because I use them a lot. As you can see, some of them are getting really short. Anyway, I love these pencils, as you can tell. So you can kind of get a variety. They come in 2 color packs, and I'm going to tell you about them just because I love them so much and I don't want to mess up. This is the old catalog. There we go. They come in 2 color packs, and one is a little bit larger than the other, and the only thing really that you want to think about is what colors you might use. And here they are, and one has a black and a white and a gray, I believe. Yeah, so it's got a few more pencils in it. It has 13 pencils as opposed to 10, the black, white, and the gray, and that's in this assortment number 1. So it's larger for $16. And then assortment number 2 only has 10 pencils, and they're $12.50. They're great, and they both have like a red, an orange, a green, a yellow, a blue. So they're both really, they both have kind of a lot of good colors in them. If you can only get one, then get assortment 1, because that white actually is kind of nice. You can use that on a dark cardstock and add some white highlights to things. The black is nice. So the gray, they're all nice. And it's got a brown. So if you can get both, they're pretty inexpensive. So you can do both packs and have a nice variety, because this green is going to be different. This is an old olive, which is more muted. The green in this one is that granny apple green, so it's brighter. Same thing with the oranges are brighter. The pink, you get a little more variety. Anyway, this one has nice purples in it too, which this one doesn't. So that's my little talk about the pencils. So how are we going to do this one? Well, I want a brown for my chocolate chip cookie, and in the pencil assortment, I'm going to keep this open because I have old ones in here because I use them all the time, and I don't want to use something that you cannot get anymore. The brown that's included in the newer pack is pecan pie. Is that this one? Which I'm not going to be able to find, I bet. There it is. Okay, so the new assortment that just came out is pecan pie. That's a new color, so I'm going to use that for my cookie. And so you can get some darks and lights with a colored pencil by pressure. So you can have light pressure for a light brown, and then if you go heavy, you've got a darker brown, and anything in between. And these are watercolor pencils, which means that they will blend out with watercolor, and you can decide if you want to do that or not. You can use them just as pencils. Don't worry about the coloring, the blending, or you can watercolor them. I didn't use watercolor paper. I'm sorry about the heavy shadows in here today. It's kind of like an overcast, about to rain day. So I've got some real heavy shadows in my room. Okay, so this is my cookie. Now I want my chips to be darker, so I can press harder, or there's early espresso in the same pack. So let's grab early espresso and do the chips. So we've got a darker brown. So another way to use watercolor pencils, I mentioned obviously water, but then Stampin' Up! Carries another kind of marker. It's a colorless marker. It's called a blender pen. It could be used for a variety of things, but the one thing that I like to use it for, and you can see I even keep it in my pack of pencils, is for blending out the pencil. So you can use that, and I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, going back and forth, and it kind of blends that marker or that pencil out a little bit. So I'm going to do that on my cookie, and it kind of softens the pencil lines. And because I didn't use watercolor paper, I can still use this blender pen. Watercolor paper would hold up more to a water if I wanted to add, like with a paintbrush, some water, but anyway. So, and this you can use with every color. So I don't know if you know if I noticed what I did, but I kind of went over here on my scratch paper and I cleaned it off. I'm just taking the residual bits of that pencil off, on swiping it onto my paper, and now I can use it on another color. Okay, so let's add a little bit of green here. And in the belly band, there's a little bit of garden green. There's also a darker peacock and red. I'm going to go with the garden green because I know that's one of my pencils. I am going to sharpen this one though. I'm just going to give a little bit of green to my leaves. These are so tiny that I don't even think blending them out is necessary, so I'm just going to leave them be. Okay, and then red for my candy cane. And those berries. Oh, I forgot these down here. Okay, now marshmallows are white, and we can decide if we want what we're going to do there, but I kind of think it's fun to add a little bit of blue just to brighten them up a little bit. And there is in the assortment, there is a balmy blue, if I can find it. And for some reason, the paint color on the balmy blue shows it darker, but it is a lighter blue. And actually, the blue is the one that I think does not match the paper as well as the others. The rest of them match really well, but the blue, just the balmy blue, the other ones are okay. So I'm just going to add, just so they're not so plain and they don't look so unfinished. And then as far as the cup goes, I don't know, what color should the cup be? That's one of those things that's hard to figure out. Cups are all different colors. I'm kind of looking at the project itself, and I was thinking green. There is another green in here, old olive, so I thought I could make the cup old olive. I don't know what you have at home. Whatever you want to do. So I'm going to do an old olive cup, and I need to sharpen. I actually need to empty. Alright, so I'm just going to do a really pale covering of my cup here. And I'm using the side of the pencil, which kind of gives a more flatter look as opposed to so many harsher lines if you use the tip. And then I'm going to apply harder pressure and do the inside of the cup because that'll be shadowed. And then we could use that blender pen again and maybe blend it out. So I'm going to go a little darker on the edges just to give it some shadow. A little bit here. I was drinking out of a green cup like this morning, only it doesn't say have a cup of cheer. So that's what made me think of green, but whatever you want to use. Okay, now if you want to use that blender pen again, you can. And the only thing I want to say about that is that it pushes the color a little bit. So you want to make sure that you start in your lighter area if you want to maintain that light, and then go towards the darker area, because it does tend to push out some of the color. I'm going pretty light pressure on this. Again, I'm sorry for those harsh shadows in the video. Maybe they're not as harsh as they look on my phone. I film with my phone. So I'm doing really light pressure. That just kind of helps get rid of some of these pencil lines, although I was pretty good at using a light touch on there. Alright, so there's my coloring. The nice thing about the pencils is that you get a lot of color for little money. So I just wanted to show them because they are a really nice option. Now this is a Wink of Stella pen, which is just a little pen with a little bit of glitter in it. I'm going to add some to the berries just to give them a little shine. There we go. And I will cut this out with my framelit here. This little die is from the Fancy Labels dies. This is kind of a nice set. It's got, oh, nested essentials. It's got several different shapes. You've got these rectangles. I'm using the largest one. And then these pennants. And then these big ones here. So they're great for openings or for cutting out labels or adding a little pennant. They're just a nice set there with that stitching. Okay, so I'm going to do another one now. This time we're going to do markers. Just plain regular old markers. Okay, so here I've got markers. Now, let me see. Stampin' Up! Markers have two ends. There's the nib end, you can see that, and then there's a brush end. So you can get into small spaces with this nib end, or bigger spaces. I tend to almost always use this brush end, to be honest. So I'm just going to do these berries. Now you don't have as much control with the dark and light. Like with a pencil, you can apply darker pressure. With the markers, you don't have as much of that, especially in a small space, but you can get a little bit of that by carefully using one layer, and then when that dries, we'll go back over and do another layer, and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to use Shaded Spruce. Is that what this is, or is that Peacock? I'm not positive. All right, so I'm going to brush this one on. And in this tiny space, again, we don't have a lot of control over darks and lights with these. And you know, I was going to do another color on the cup, but now that I did this in the olive, I kind of want to do them all in the olive so you can see the difference. Let's do that cookie. I'm going to use the same colors that we did before. This one's Pecan Pie. Now the reason why I used Pecan Pie, I would have probably used Crumb Cake. It's just that the pencil doesn't come in a Crumb Cake. The markers come in every color that Stampin' Up! Has. So that's one of the benefits of the markers. You have more choices in color. The pencils are the least expensive. And then these markers would be your second least expensive. And then the Stampin' Blends are the most expensive. So I'll use those last, and you can see what you think of the differences. So that was Pecan Pie. And then we did Early Espresso on the chips. And I added some blue on the marshmallows, just so they weren't just sitting here. Okay. And then I did some red on that candy cane. I said I was going to come back over, so that's been sitting a minute. So then you can go over it again, and now I've got a dark and a light. On a tiny little berry, you're not going to see it. You could try to bring a little dark on one side, like he's shiny. But it's a tiny little berry, so it's going to be hard to see. So let's do those cane stripes. Okay, and now that old olive cup. So this is a big space, so we have to worry about lines. Let me make sure I have older ones and newer ones. This is a newer one. Okay, so when you're coloring with these markers, one thing is that, see how when I'm overlapping, I'm going to get that line. If I do a careful job of coloring, I can try to avoid some of that. So I'm trying to not overlap my lines very much, because then I will get kind of a line will stay. Because like we overlapped that red, you'll see where it overlaps. It's darker. So I'm trying to be careful. And then I'm going to do this little rim area. And I don't mind if that's darker, because it just adds a little bit of shadow. I'm going to do the inside of the cup. All right, so I've got that. Now, we don't have as much control as far as shadows, but if you wait for it to dry a second and you want to add a darker layer to the side, just to give it a little bit of dimension, you can do that. Or I'm going to do a second layer on the inside where it would be, you can just give it a little glare. I don't know, whatever you want to do there. So these are the markers. So it's a little brighter, but you can change that up with colors that you choose to. Okay, so the final one is the Stampin' Blends. So these, I have these come in all the colors as well. So you've got a lot of coloring options. Let me see if I can find the pecan pie. So these, when you get them, they come in a pack together, and there's a light pecan pie and a dark pecan pie. So you have to buy them together in a pack. The nice thing about that is that you can do those shadows like we were talking about really simply. I'm going to use the light pecan pie for the cookie. And then I'm not going to use the dark. Sometimes I feel like the area is so small that adding a little highlight isn't really necessary. But if I wanted to, I can come in with the dark and I could kind of add a shadow behind the marshmallow and all of that. And I just feel like this is such a small little guy that I don't know that it's necessary. And I think I said that the markers come in every color, the Stampin' Blends, and they almost come in every color. They don't come in quite every single solitary color. They don't come, for example, in early espresso. But there's a whole range of browns and bronzes and tans because there's a lot of skin colors. So I can kind of pick one that's close to early espresso. This is number 100. And I'm just going to do these chips. Okay, so there's my cookie. And then for the berries, I'm grabbing Real Red. Got that blue for the marshmallows. And is this Old Olive? Old Olive for the cup. Okay. Oh, and Shaded Spruce for the leaves. Okay, now here's my Shaded Spruce. So I have a light and a dark Shaded Spruce. And again, these leaves are so small, so adding a light and a dark area might be silly. If you wanted to go in with the dark, you can kind of touch the bases of the leaves. But like I said, these are so small that adding that extra detail might be silly. All right, now I've got my Balmy Blue, and these come in a light and a dark, but again, I'm just using the light just so that the marshmallows have something on them. Okay, and I've got my red. Now that was the light red, and then I can come in with the dark and kind of give the berries another little, I'm making like a little C to kind of give them a little dark and light area. Again, small piece, can't really tell. Now for the cup itself, let's do Old Olive. Since we're doing all of them Old Olive. Now this we have a light and a dark, so I'm going to do the whole cup in the light. And my Old Olive gets a lot of use because I do a lot of florals and plant type things, I guess. Probably that's what I color the most. And so I need a new Old Olive, but I think I can blend this out so these lines won't show. Alright, so I've got my light, and then with my dark, I'm going to do the inside of the cup. And I can add a shadow to the bottom. And let's kind of add a little wispy shadows here. And then I'm going to go back with my light again, and this time blend them out by going over them again. And this is an alcohol marker. It dries fast, and I can blend out that harsh line. And as it dries, we'll have darks and lights. Okay, so got my little cup. Oh, I forgot my candy cane. Let me do that real quick. Again, I want to highlight my berries with that Stella. Which I don't know if shows up on the video, but it does show up in real life. So I've got my 3 different cups. And now I will cut them out and we'll use them on our project. Okay. Here we have, I cut this one out as a tag because I only had 2 of these boxes left over from my stamp camp. So I thought I would make 2 more of these. And then this one I thought I would make into a card. So we've got the colored pencil, the Stampin' Blends, and here's the marker. And they're all great options. You have the most versatility color-wise. All of the colors come in the markers, so you can get every color known to man. And the nice thing about the markers is you can color directly on your rubber stamp. And I did this in a card just the other day on this stamp, and you color with the marker and it can transfer onto your paper, so you can get 2 different colors on one stamp, which is pretty awesome. And you can control where it is. So this one has little berries on it, and I did the berries in one color and the pine branches in another, which is really nice. So I can do a little area here to show you that. But then with the Stampin' Blends, you can't do that because they dry. It's an alcohol-based marker, like a Sharpie, and it'll dry really fast. So by the time you get these berries, you know, on here, and you go to stamp it, so watch, I'm gonna stamp, and I've got berries and branches in different colors. It's fantastic. I love that. But so the markers have a great place in my collection, and I'm super glad to have them, and I always get them. Every time there's a new color, I have to have it. But I love the pencils because they're fun, and you can do watercolor stuff, and you can do all kinds of watercolor techniques with them too, and they're really inexpensive for what you get. And then of course there's the blends, which are the most expensive. And anyway, just know that you can still get a lot of fun no matter what option you choose. Okay, so let's make this. I want to show you how to do that ribbon pull up. So I've got some dimensionals, which I'm going to stick on the back. And then I mentioned I made this wider than usual because we can put 2 hot chocolates in there, so we could do that. And these are those tall ones from Starbucks, so I'm going to put them in, but you don't want to just throw them in there like this. So I'm going to grab some ribbon. This ribbon comes in a 2-pack like this, and you get a green and a red, which is really nice, especially for this time of year, but I don't have enough of the green left, so we're going to go with the red. We used the green at Stamp Camp. And what you're going to do is you're going to go straight across here. All right, and then you're going to use these cocoa packs to push that ribbon down into the box. And you might need a little more. Okay, and then we can adjust as needed. I don't know what day you're watching this, but if you're watching this pretty close to the beginning of December, this is the, I think this is the 5th of December. When I'm filming anyway. By the time I edit and get it up there, who knows what day it'll be. But some new real red ribbon that's kind of got a nice ruffle to it, a real fun ribbon, just hit the clearance rack. So you can put that on there and get some really good ribbon at a really inexpensive price. Anyway, Swiss Miss can fit in there, but I also thought it would be fun to add a chocolate. So you can do a packet and a chocolate, which doesn't always fit. And I don't know if you're like me, but I feel that the the Reese's peanut butter cups that are shapes like pumpkins and trees and hearts taste better than the regular peanut. And I love peanut butter cups, so they both taste good. But I don't know, is that me? Or do they taste different to you too? I don't know why, but I feel like those shaped ones taste really, really good. And I love them. Okay, so poking that in there. This peanut butter cup might be a little fat. I might have to eat it. No, it does fit, but it is a little fat. I had on my desk these really cute Hershey Santas, and slowly but surely they have gone away, and I don't know who ate them. I had one, I will admit that, but I think my children had the rest, or my husband. Okay, so now I've got it like that, and then I added a little bit of some different ribbon. You can use a baker's twine. I used a silver or a gold would work, whatever you got, or white, or even a green if you've got something. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bow. Okay, so here we have another little bow. So then when the recipient gets this, they can just pull up and then the hot chocolate comes up. Isn't that fun? And if they push it back down, it goes back down. Now, is the recipient gonna know that? I don't know. But it's cute, and I know that it does that. And they might, because they might look at it and be like, oh, that's cute, and then, oh, they might be like, oh, wow, look, that comes up. I don't know. Maybe my daughter's bus driver's crafty. She might be. She might have crafts at home too, so who knows. Anyway, that is my cocoa pouch, and I'll do the same thing on that one, but I won't make you watch me do it. And then I added just a couple little gems, and I am using some of these because these are old gems that are retired, and so that's what I do this time of year when I'm doing things for teachers and friends and things like that, is I use some of these old retired gems that are fun. And again, look at the clearance rack. They just updated it, and I saw lots of embellishments on there. I saw some really pretty silver branches, which I might grab. I love grabbing ribbon and embellishments off the clearance rack. So there, I've got a little bit of bling on there for some shine, kind of brings out that ribbon. You can use some basic rhinestones too. And there you have it. There is my cocoa pouch. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll come back again and subscribe, and have a pleasant evening. Bye. Okay, I know I said goodbye, but I wanted to jump in and show you what I did with that tag. So I put it on a card, and the card is a play on the cards I showed just yesterday, or I don't know what day. I make the videos and then I edit the videos. So a couple days ago on my channel, I did a gift card holder, and let me see if I have one on my desk. It was this one where you take a piece of cardstock and fold over a bit and use that as a pocket. And I did it on a card going the cut down the center long ways, but you can do a similar thing with a card going this way. So you're gonna put a score line and then fold it over and cut a little notch, and this is going to be a pocket for a gift card. And then you can add a little bit of adhesive or just on the sides so that you can tuck a little gift card in there, and preferably a Starbucks one to go with this one, right? Or a local coffee shop. Coffee, hot chocolate coffee, all of that is my favorite gift card. So anyway, this is what I did with the leftover tag that I was showing you. And I also meant to tell you that this stamp set, super cute, is retiring. It's on the retirement list, which means that it is going to be gone at the end of the December. So it's a really cute stamp set. If you want it, you have to get it now. So really cute. Have a cup of cheer. This is my favorite one. I bought the whole set just for this cup, but these are really cute too. I've seen and done a few cards with this. But anyway, very cute stamp set, and if you want this stamp set, it is going to be gone at the end of the month. So gift of giving, retiring soon.